Hey there, welcome back to Reddit XO, the best channel for Reddit cheating stories. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for more stories like these.
After 10 years of marriage, I learned that my wife was having an affair with another man and confronted her about it. As a result, I'm searching for some straightforward advice. The connection between my wife and I has been fantastic for the last 10 years. We have 3 children and a lovely marriage. She was my closest buddy for the better part of 3 weeks until she passed away. My phone was using a significant amount of data. It was later discovered to be a smartphone application. It's not a big deal at all. When I go to look at the usage data, though, it immediately brings up phone calls as the first thing it does. At 2 a.m., I see a phone call to an unknown number that has lasted 45 minutes. So I look up the phone number, how many calls were made, how long they lasted, and so on. Upon further investigation, it was discovered that this number had received 37 calls, 25 of which came after I had gone asleep in my bed. Many of these occurred between the hours of 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and 4 a.m. I confronted her and assaulted her. Fortunately, she has a new, wonderful job with a very intelligent boss whom she much admires, and made this clear to me. I've always had confidence in her abilities. Her workplace was the recipient of all of her phone calls. He called only 3 or 4 times. She said that everything they talked was relevant to their jobs. It was something I urged on many times. Regardless, I recall a couple of the nights when we sipped on a few toddies, weekends. She lied to me about going jogging alone at 5:30 a.m. 2 months earlier when she said she did so at that time. She did, but he ultimately turned there and informed her that he was unable to run at that time. I understand that she had informed me that she was going to go running with him, but when she returned, she insisted that no one had even showed up. Why would you lie about anything like that? It's a pretty unusual situation. In response to my questions, she said that her feelings for me were pure, that she would never cheat on me, and that she would not jeopardize both her and his professions by doing so. She is more worried with what she could lose than she is with how much she cares for me. I understand why. He owns a high-end sports car and is married with 2 children, according to his biography. While he was out on business, my wife reminded him that he needed to provide her conference updates. Finally, he sends her a snapshot of a vehicle for $750,000 that he is thinking about acquiring. It's unusual that he is texting this to his employee, yet she shows me, so it's still strange, right? Aside from that, she turned off the texting feature on her iPad and her personal PC. She also changed the passwords associated with this account. I had to compel her to show me the messages she had written to him since she had erased them all before I could see them. So, what do we do now? Was she also having a relationship with someone else? She is unambiguous in her assertion that it was all about business. As a general observation, I would say that she is completely devoted to school and studying, which is not unexpected. However, the fact that he answered her phone calls in the middle of the night is concerning. The first update is as follows. We've been talking for a few days now, for days after I found out about the relationship, as well as arguing and other such activities. She tells me that she loves me, that she has only ever loved me, and that she will continue to love me always. There was never anything physical that happened. He was informed that she was agitated by the new position, that someone would have died if she had put in the wrong thing, and that she had phoned him late one night to ensure that what she did had been properly was done correctly. This led in a number of late-night phone calls. She admits to making the call, but insists she was never emotionally defrauded since it was for business purposes. She has no romantic feelings for him, and their relationship has always been, and will continue to be completely business-related in nature. That's okay with me. I am a logical person, and this seems to be reasonable. It was her initiative to give over her iPhone and direct me to install spyware on it. I told her that I would be recovering all of her messages, and she expressed her delight at the prospect of having everything in one place. So, am I exaggerating the situation? But if they weren't, why would they be removed from the system? She stated she didn't think I'd like it if I found out she was contacting him, and she didn't believe I would. 1. Do you think it would be better for me to find out that you erased all of the messages? 2. Why should I be concerned if everything was done in a professional manner? She's apologized a million times and promised that it won't happen again, but I still can't get over the fact that the texts were removed from my phone. It would be interesting to see whether she erased them when I contacted her at work to check about the number she had provided me. If she erased the messages as soon as I called, the texts will very probably be used against her in court. The second update is as follows. Please accept my apologies for not posting in a long time. This is a dreadful situation. As a consequence, the texting continued unabated. The phone calls came to a halt. Consequently, without getting into too much detail since this might go on indefinitely, she continued to receive messages from him for the prior 7 months, which he did not disclose. A few messages later, he inquired as to whether or not he might buy some of her lingerie and expressed his admiration for her figure. By text message, she answered to my question. She warned him not to put her to the test. I'd be delighted to put you to the test, he added. It lasted all through the night. I was the one who saved everything. During this time, we maintained a wonderful connection, exchanging loving words, kissing each other every morning, and having sex. Following that, they went to a seminar together a few weeks ago. When I called, she didn't pick up the phone. Then she called him from her room to his room, so that the call wouldn't appear on his phone records, and he answered. The specifics are as follows. He called her from a mobile phone that did not belong to him, so I was unable to track it down. He arrives. I also have the whole audio recording for this. When she got home, I sat down and listened. She became completely still, like an ice cube. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and how much I already knew about it. Things got a bit hairy at one point, no violence, just yelling and screaming. I turned and went away. She went to her parents' house for a few days to be with their children. She had come back. I'm willing to work things out if necessary. It was decided that counseling would be provided. I'm a complete and utter wreck. I'm completely at a loss on what to do. I'm head over heels in love with her. I believe she is my true love. She explained that they had both made mistakes and that they were now here, together, making things happen, enjoying the excitement and rush of it all, and so on. But he's a predator, to put it mildly. They are continuing to work together, albeit far less. What in the world am I supposed to do now? But I've seen the correspondence between him and his wife, and he claims to have told her. And it seems that he did not disclose all to her, like the part where they have sex, which is pretty clear on the audio. 2. The story. He strayed on his wife with a stripper, and he is really remorseful. I'm at a loss for words. Hello. Greetings and welcome to my first blog article. I'm hoping someone can provide some further insight on this situation. Background: we first met when we were 17 years old. We'd been pals for years before starting a relationship when we were 21. I got married when I was 25 years old. I had my first child when I was 29 years old. I'm now pregnant with our second child. We've been to the depths of hell and back in our relationship. When we were dating, he made some bad mistakes and ended up with a DUI. He was a lot younger at the time. After that, he admitted that he made a mistake with the DUI and promised me that he would get his act together and improve our lives by growing up, making better decisions, and changing professions. He really demonstrated himself. Neither I nor anybody else is perfect, but through working together, we were able to develop ourselves both individually and as a couple. The two of us have always been very honest with one another. We're terrific friends, and our relationship started off as a friendship between two people. We are in a nice relationship. My husband is not the kind to engage in cheating. It was impossible for me to dispute anything he said or did since his words and actions were in sync. Several weeks ago, we spent a few hours at a friend's house before heading back home. He informed me that he was going out with a friend that I no longer care about. I pleaded with him not to leave for a variety of reasons, but not because I didn't believe in his abilities. It's simply that I don't care for the friend. As a result of their presence, they are unsure about the time it is to return home, and so on. Anyway, I'm roused from my sleep at 4:30 a.m. by my spouse, who is utterly decimated by alcohol. And then he jumps into bed, having recently washed, which seems weird to me because he's been out before and hasn't done so. Wait, Evs, I'm weary, and because he's slurring quite poorly, I'm going to go back to bed for the night. After getting out of bed the next morning to start my day, I see a used condom out in the open with a wrapper and a receipt for a respectable amount of money. I immediately confront him and then flee because I need fresh air, time, and a large amount of garbage to function well. I return and we have a discussion. My kind explanation is that, regardless of what story he provides me, he cheated in some way. According to him, after leaving with condoms, he went back for honey, but instead of cleaning up after himself, due to his laziness and the fact that he was inebriated, he just left it out in the open. And the receipt said that money was to be deposited into an ATM. He was apologizing profusely, claiming that he had made a mistake, that he was humiliated, that it would never happen again, and so on. Now, I'm just going about my business because I'm annoyed at this point. So, after thinking about it for a few days and clearing my head, I decided to go ahead and do it. In my mind, I'm having a lady-related conversation. This story does not make any sense to me at this point. I'm familiar with the club he frequented, and its name is BYOB. As a consequence, this institution seems to be more keen to provide extra services as a result of this. When I take another look at the receipt, I see a tip line. There are no tip lines printed on ATM receipts. I challenged him with my observations, and he ultimately admitted his guilt. He alleges, among other things, that he was there. He is convinced that he did not engage in relations with her throughout that time. He maintains that he was highly inebriated, which, although not a valid justification, is the reason for his behavior. He had made a clumsy decision and had no clue what was happening. Do you remember when the stripper approached him and handed him a condom? Things happened, but he barely recalls a portion of what happened. In spite of the fact that this individual was not at fault, he expresses regret and announces that he will no longer hang out with this individual and that he will never again visit a strip club. This is something I'm having difficulty with. My husband isn't a horrible man in the least. This was out of character for him, but he was honest with me and told me the whole truth. However, I doubt I would have discovered the truth had it not been for his being a fool and putting evidence in the open. Things, on the other hand, have a way of working themselves out. Ordinarily, when it comes to small stuff, he acts as if he has no clue what I'm talking about, only for the purpose of being a jerk about it. While I know full well that he knows, and especially when he's wearing this grin, I don't say anything. It frustrates me, yet it's his fault that it happens. In any case, he didn't make a mistake this time since the story had not changed, he just did not transmit it fully. It's all out there in the open. What's missing? I inquired of him. People cheat when there is something missing, and he said that there is nothing missing. It was a tragic mistake that would never be committed again. He was badly drunk and wished he had just stayed at home instead of going out with his friends. This was the most honest and down-to-earth talk we'd had in a long time, and I was willing to trust him because it was true. As a result, he's spoken to me about it ever since it happened, addressing any and all of my concerns and assisting me in coming to terms with this monumental mistake. We are not without flaws, and we all make mistakes. And if it was a real error that will not be repeated, and you can demonstrate this via your actions and verbal confirmation, then a second opportunity is warranted. If you make the same mistake again, prepare to have your world shattered by the filth I'm capable of unleashing. As I've already said, this was out of character for him, and I'm certainly no angel myself. My error occurred when we were dating and there were no children in the room with me. Not that what we did was justified, but he has made mistakes in the past, and I have made mistakes in the past. When I think about it, it was our one and only free pass to make a mistake after that, so who knows what happened? People betray one another because there are chasms in their interpersonal interactions. Our acquaintances have struggled with infidelity throughout the course of their lives. One man cheated on his wife because she was rude to him, didn't respect him, and was selfish. He cheated on his wife with someone he knew, and the affair lasted for a long time. An additional cheating victim cheated since his girlfriend refused to have any relations with him. Granted, we only got to see one side of these individuals. It's possible that the first lady was the way she was because her husband was cheating, and the same might be said for the second woman. We've never had an issue with sex in our relationship. I'm not going to lie and pretend that I don't have any feelings for him. This pregnancy has taken its toll on me, and I'm hoping that my husband is aware of it. I'm not a moody person, at least not in general, but this pregnancy has taken its toll on me. He has nothing else that would drive him to cheat other from those two factors. This one misstep, I believe, was the cause of everything. Just as though it were an isolated blunder. Despite the fact that I am not an idiot, and that I do not put up with S***T, who am I to call it quits when he has not done so with me, and I have shown over and over that it was just that one time? Is it necessary to seek expert assistance? Should we just call it a day and move on? I'm at a loss for words.